Good health and welcome to today's edition of the Wellness Watch. I'm your host, Dr. Michael Nora. We're pleased to have our guest today, Dr. Ralph Peterson. He's a gastroenterologist. Very timely subject now. A lot of young people getting gastrointestinal problems, including cancer. We want to know about that. We want to understand how diet impacts disease and what we should be doing and what he can do if there's a problem. Dr. Peterson, welcome to our program.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Let's start by discussing the issue of why so many young people are having trouble with gastrointestinal disease.
You know, we've been following this for some time, and it was at one time that 50 years of age and up, we started doing colonoscopy, screening colonoscopy. Then it was reduced to 45. But in my practice, I've seen younger people develop cancers. And when you follow the literature, they can be 20, as young as 20 years of age. And the question is, why is that? Could it be stress? Could it be dietary changes? We know genes always play a factor here. Family history, very important. We got that. But even those at 40 and 5 years of age with no family history, we find cancer in them as well. So I believe that stress, the kind of foods that we eat with these processed food that we have no control over, fructose is a big problem as well. I'm going to throw it out. Because it also causes fatty liver. Fatty liver is a contributing factor to colon cancer as well. So diet, stress are high on the list. So the question is, how do I screen myself so that we can catch cancer early? Because anytime you catch cancer early, you can actually get cured because you caught it early.
Let me ask you, how can a young person, what would be the symptoms that a young person needed to get more engaged in the diagnosis of the problems that they were having?
Okay, I'm going to be very aggressive with this, Mike, since I've been in practice for almost 50 years. From what I've seen, when you get symptoms, that's almost too late. You don't want to get any symptoms. You don't want to have symptoms of losing weight, bleeding, change in bowel habits. Okay, pain. Okay, those are symptoms. But you want to catch stuff early before you actually have symptoms, because generally when you get symptoms, that means you probably already have cancer. And so what you want to do is get screened at an early age so that you can beat symptoms and really catch cancer early, because if you catch it early, it doesn't have a chance to grow down to a certain depth and then escape the colon and go other places, which we call metastasis. So you want to beat metastasis. You want to beat symptoms, so you want to catch it early.
Well, we know without question that older people are screened for cancer with a colonoscopy on a rather routine basis. What about young people? I mean, if they were getting it younger, certainly the star of Black Panther was in his 30s, I believe.
Yes.
So should they be getting colonoscopies in their 20s and 30s?
Here's how it should be done. I know how it should be done. First of all, you should get a colonoscopy at 45 years of age. No symptoms. You should get a colonoscopy at 45 years of age. And then after you have the colonoscopy, let's say we find nothing on you. That means every year on your birthday month, in my office, we call Save Your Butt, because you want to live another year. And every time your birthday comes, you want to live another year. You should have a fecal immunochemical test called a FIT test. And what that test does is look for blood in your stool, blood that you cannot see. And if we do find blood in your stool that you cannot see, that means you're going to have a follow-up colonoscopy to make sure that we didn't miss anything, or to screen you for colon cancer, because only so many things bleed in your colon, and just want to make sure it's not cancer. Now, having said that, that means you should have a FIT test at 20. That's what I recommend to all my patients that comes into the office, that they have kids 20 years of age, is to order a FIT test on them. Now, your insurance won't pay for that. We got that. You can go online and order FIT tests through Pinnacle, Pinnacle. You should take that down. I don't have any stock in the company. Pinnacle FIT test. Buy it online. You get two for about $40. That's $20 a piece. And do your own FIT test at home. If it's positive, take it to your doctor. Your doctor is obligated to follow up with that. And if they find that you do have blood in your soup, then they will be obligated to find out why. The colonoscopy will be asked to be performed on you at 21 years of age. That's very important.
All right, let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let me ask you, what is your diet like and why?
What's my diet like?
Right.
Oh, That's very interesting. I try to avoid as much processed food as I can. I try to avoid fructose in particular. I just want to make sure everybody heard that word fructose. I try to eat as much fiber as I can eat, insoluble fibers, soluble fiber, and we're talking about 35 grams or more per day. Most people eat way less than that, maybe 18, 20, maybe even 10 milligrams of fiber a day. And the reason you want to eat fiber because you want to feed those species that's in your colon, that's in your small intestine. We call it the microbiome. And once you feed them, they're happy. The bacteria that live with you, they're happy. In fact, they can help eliminate colon cancer. In fact, they can help with your diabetes. They can help with your blood pressure. They can help with fatty liver. So I eat a diet pretty much rich in fiber, and fiber is what God made: spinach, cabbage, greens, those kind of things. Not much meat. I do eat meat, but not much meat. I do eat my omega-3s, so that I do get my fish that eat the algae, and that's where you get your omega-3s from, and those are very healthy for you. That's the kind of diet I have. A lot of fruits and vegetables.
Now, you mentioned a couple of terms that people hear a lot, that they're not sure. Processed foods. What does that mean?
Like you go to the store and you buy salamis, or you buy the bolognas that's already pre-packaged. Ketchup has it's already processed, has fructose in it, high corn syrup fructose in it. We just got a hold of trans fat now. You know, companies not supposed to be having trans fat in the foods. You know, trans fat makes the shelf life of a food in a store live longer, but trans fat your body cannot process, and it can lead to cancer. So no trans fat, no high fructose corn syrup, no fructose if you can avoid it. Minimize sugar if you can. All those things are very helpful for you. And eat more fruits and vegetables.
Okay, let's get a little more specific. What are trans fats, and where do you find them?
Let's take olive oil. A lot of us like olive oil. Got it. But if you cook olive oil, it has a double bond, one double bond. We call it monosaturated. It has one double bond. And when you heat that too much, that will become trans fat. And that trans fat, if you eat it, has a problem. Your body has a problem dealing with it. Like I said, trans fat has been pretty much eliminated now in America because there's been a lot of complaints, and people know trans fat created all kind of problems for the human body, which cannot process trans fat. So that's what I mean by trans fats. So you can go and let's say look at bread. If you see the word trans fat, you don't want to buy it. If you see the word high fructose corn syrup, minimize your consumption of such.
Let me play this for you.
Talking about cod liver oil. Bet you've forgotten about cod liver oil. It's the awful stuff Grandma used to give you whenever you had any kind of illness. It's packed with vitamins A and D, and omega-3 fatty acid helps with heart health, helps fight inflammation, reduce lipids, and even strengthen your bones. And guess what? You can find it in capsules, liquids, and even skincare products. So maybe it's time to bring back old habit from the past. Just check how much you need and how often to take it, and then give your grandma some credit.
Okay, so these are the kinds of things that I see every day. You know, every time I am reviewing the literature, it's another thing about diet. I mean, certainly the two big enemies of the nutritionists are coffee and alcohol. But I think that that when we see things like this, what would you recommend to the individual trying to evaluate all the conflicting information they hear about diet?
Well, there's no conflicting information. It's about knowledge. Omega-3s are good for you. Less omega-6 because it has arachidonic acid in it. And arachidonic acid is the precursor for inflammation substances being made, like the leukotrienes and so forth. So you want to minimize the omega-6, maximize the omega-3s. Now, the omega-3s have three components to it, but the one that you really want is the omega-3s that come from the fish. And the fish is what eat the algae. It's the algae that makes the kind of omega-3s that you want to consume. So the cod liver oil that you just showed and displayed, that's a good choice. It's omega-3s. Monounsaturated fats, not bad for you. It's the polyunsaturated fat that could be bad for your body. So you start looking at those things. One of the things I definitely want to mention is get as much fruits and vegetables in as often as you can, because that way you get all your vitamins that you need to get for your body.
Do you feel that if you look at if we had to rate diets, that the Mediterranean diet would be at the top and the soul food diet would be at the bottom?
The Mediterranean diet would definitely be at the top. There's no question about that. Soul food diet because will be at the bottom because how it's prepared, maybe the kind of oil that is being used, creating trans fat. French fries, well, it's partially trans fat because it's heated. So those kind of things are harmful to your body. Now, remember, everything in moderation. So when you consistently consume something over a period of time, that's when you have more problems than if you eat it every now and then. I mean, I have my French fries, but that might be once every 2 months, once every 3 months. It's not an everyday kind of thing.
All right, well, let me ask you if you would agree with this. Good basic diets. There are a lot of good diets out there, so it's hard to choose. But by now, I think I have a pretty good idea of what makes a good basic diet. So here, my diet manifesto for people without diabetes who aren't overweight. Plenty of fruits and vegetables. A lot of fish, especially for older individuals. Drinking at least 45 ounces of water a day. Anything more than that feels like a chore. Wine in moderation. This no-alcohol rule is a bit extreme. No more than 2 glasses 2 or 3 times a week makes sense. Some principles to go along with your diet. You got to stick with it. Eat regular meals and at least 3 hours before bedtime. Don't worry too much about what you eat when you're dining out. After all, you're paying for it. Just slow down for the next couple of days. This message is sponsored by the African American Wellness Project.
Well, I like that slide, Michael. That was a good one.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So you agree with that?
I agree with that one 100%. Absolutely.
I just wanted to show you that we're not we're not messing around over here. We're looking
you can see how much fruits and vegetables that was being displayed.
Right.
Very good. You saw less meat products, fat products that was being displayed. Very good. I'm very impressed with that. Yeah.
Well, talk to us about colon cancer.
Colon cancer is something that is curable. You just got to catch it early. That's the main thing. If I had to leave any message for anybody to be catch it early. Get a fit test done at 20 years of age and just save your butt. That means every year you repeat that same test. Some of us say that if you do a fit test every year on your birthday for 10 years, that's like doing a colonoscopy. That's like doing one colonoscopy. When you get 45 years of age, you want to get screened for colon cancer. I got it. Now, what causes colon cancer? Changing bowel habits, some of the symptoms, bleeding, stress, high corn syrup, fructose, keep coming back to that. A lot of red meats can create cancer. Family history, I got that. But you want to get screened. That's the most important thing I can tell you. Get screened for colon cancer and you can be ahead of the curve, because if we discover it, and I've discovered a lot of colon cancer, but we caught it early, such that it's removed by the surgeon, or it can be removed by an endoscope, and therefore you don't have to have any major surgery, and you're cured of cancer. It didn't go to your liver, did not go to your lung, didn't go to your brains, didn't do a lot of damage to you. You caught it early.
All right, let's go to an organ system that gastroenterologists, and get involved in. It's not talked about. We talk about the heart and the lungs and the colon, the skin. We never talk about the liver. How important is the liver? Tell us a little bit about what you see and what we ought to be doing about the liver that we're not.
The liver, the largest organ in the body. So if it's the largest organ in the body, it must have a purpose. In fact, the pancreas and the liver, they talk to each other. They directly talk to each other, really. The liver is good for storing glycogen. So when you run out of sugar, the glycogen that was stored by the liver, 3 to 6 hours, you have the liver will actually produce the sugar for your body to use for energy, because you need sugar for energy through the mitochondria. So liver is very important. It breaks down substances that you consume that are daily to the body, breaks down Tylenol, breaks down alcohol. So it eliminates harmful stuff to your body. And in turn, it also makes bile. Bile starts to help digest the fat. You need fat because fat is a way of doubling how much sugar that you don't have to have as much sugar if you have fat, because fat is what can burn energy also. You get more calories from fat than you would from proteins or from glucose. And so fat is regulated by the liver. Additionally, cholesterol. Cholesterol is made in the liver. Very low density lipoprotein made in the liver. LDL made in the liver. Triglyceride stored and made in the liver. So the liver is very important. You do not want to hurt your liver. So you do want to drink in moderation because that's where it's broken down in the liver. So the liver is very important. I just want to say one other thing about the liver, that the new disease that's on the rise is fatty liver.
Well, that's what I'm going to ask you about.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that you have a tremendous interest in the issue of fatty liver. Now, I mean, I got enough things to worry about. I'm glad I didn't know nothing about the liver because I wasn't worried about it. But now you come to the table with some information that makes me some good concern about what the liver is like.
Well, Mike, 2 years ago, we had ultrasound done on patients who had hepatic steatosis or fat in the liver, and we did not worry about it as much. And I started saying, let me just start reading about this, and come to find out that any range between 30 to 45% of Americans have fatty liver. Almost 30% of the world have fatty liver. And it's come from these processed food and too much sugar, frankly, too much sugar. And so because of that, what is fatty liver doing to it? Fatty liver may be causing you to have cholesterol problems, diabetes, being overweight, having hypertension, hypothyroidism, all caused by fatty liver. Additionally, cancer of the pancreas, cancer of the stomach, cancer of the colon, renal failure, fatty liver. So it's a silent disease. It doesn't give you any warning. You may have malaise, you may have some weakness, you may have some pain in the right upper quadrant. You may have nothing. Generally, most people have nothing. So it's a silent disease. And I said, oh my God, our people are going to be left behind on this. So how do we get out there and tell people you need to know your numbers about your liver? And since it's not going to talk to you, the only way you can know your numbers is have an ultrasound. If you have an ultrasound, have fat in your liver, you ought to be concerned. One additional point I want to make. The number one cause for liver transplant in women is because of fatty liver, not alcohol, not hepatitis B, not hepatitis C, it's fatty liver. And it's been estimated about 2030, it's going to be the number one cause for liver transplant in men as well.
Do we have to have biopsies to define how much fatty liver we've got? I mean, everybody can't go around like I'm not going to have no biopsy. I mean, what are the ways in which we can identify fatty liver that's different?
Well, Michael, I know you know me, and you chose me as your GI doctor, so you come to me, and I would not let anybody do a biopsy on you. I wouldn't let them do that on you. I wouldn't encourage it.
Is that because I'm too old?
No, not because you're too old, Michael. And I know people who do excellent biopsy. As indicated, if you had a mass in your liver and we didn't think it was hepatocellular carcinoma or some other kind of cancer, I recommend you get a liver biopsy. But in this case, for fatty liver, you'll come to my office and I'll perform a scan on you, better than a FibroScan, and tell you how much fat's in your liver. And we don't want anything above 5%. And I'll tell you how stiff your liver is. We call it a fiber score. So yes, you will get information from me without a liver biopsy.
Well, this is just the beginning, Dr. Peterson. So much that we can talk about with the GI tract. And I wanted to introduce you to our audience because of your tremendous experience and the knowledge that you have. We'll have several more conversations about issues around gastrointestinal health and gastrointestinal disease. I want to thank you for taking the time today just to introduce our audience to the concept.
And thank you, Michael, for